On this episode of AV Week, we wrap up InfoComm Connected happened virtually this year, but we still talk with Mike Blackman and Dave Labuscus. Also have a conversation with Corey Schaefer, Matt Scott, and Jeremy Caldera, getting the perspective of exhibitors as well as presenters and integrators. All that and more next on AV Week.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is AV Week, episode 461, recorded Friday, June 19th, 2020. Hope takes courage.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by Atlas IED, innovative audio solutions for every business environment.
This is AV Week, your weekly wrap-up of audio-visual news and information. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. Typically, this Friday, I would be joined by a plethora of audio-visual royalty and smarts and everything. We should be in Las Vegas. We should be surrounded by people. There should be a crowd of people in front of me, and Matt Scott should be giving me crap for something or other. That last part's still going to happen because he's on this show. But
yeah, like right now.
Yeah, right now.
Right now.
This is InfoComm Week. And typically what we would do is we would have a cavalcade of folks come through and say, how was your week? What did you learn? What new products did you see? We're still going to do that because InfoComm still happened, although virtually. Typically, I would start with two of my favorite people in the entire AV world, Mike Blackman and Dave Labuscus. Still going to do that. So to kick this off, Mr. Dave Labuscus, who was our host this week, and Mike Blackman. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
Absolutely, sir. So let's kick this off. Dave, you started your keynote for InfoComm, talked about not a new normal. And I was on a couple of sessions and I said, I don't like the new normal. I don't like the pivot and something else. I don't remember what I said. You said this is not a new normal. It's a path to a better normal. What do you mean by that?
I don't know who it was that said this, and I should have looked it up because I've probably quoted him 1,000 times, but never let a good crisis go to waste.
Rahm Emanuel.
Thank you. There's going to be a new normal, and that's going to happen passively.
Okay.
It reminds me a bit also of a quote that the woman at our Avixa Women's Breakfast presented, which was that optimism is easy, hope takes courage. What I meant by it is that as we move on beyond this, we should be looking at how do we create a better world. And if we accept the fact that the audiovisual industry is about connecting people to people and about creating experiences, then we should acknowledge that we have something to contribute to making this world a better place.
All right. You, in late March, early April, you and I sat down, probably one of the hardest days of your tenure, if I had to guess, when you said that we're not doing InfoComm this year in person. At the time, you didn't know what you were going to do, and we talked about that. And 2 weeks later, you helped us at AVNation kick off our commercial Learn From Home event. And at that keynote and that talk, you said, we're doing this. We're doing InfoComm Connected. When everything settles, and you know the numbers that you know Joey Lloyd gave me this morning was you had 20,000 registrations, right? Which if you look at, you know, people are going to look at numbers. I would still say that that's a pretty significant number for, you know, 2.5 months of preparation and promotion. 40% of those folks were international. You guys purposely catered to folks internationally as well as domestically in the States. Over 1,000 exhibitor meetings. Walk me through and talk to Dave Labuscus back in early April. And would you tell him that this is a success, that everything that he did from the 1st of April until now is you know, we hit the nail?
I don't think there's ever been a period that I've talked to Dave Labuscus of the past and said everything you've done was a success.
Okay.
um, uh, but I think, and this was not my success. This was the success of the industry, the success of our exhibiting partners, the success of my team. The what they delivered. You're right. I mean, the timing. Of course, I remember March 30th, and you and I having a conversation probably about this time that afternoon.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a bad that was a tough time, but what they created and what they delivered uh, so far exceeded my expectations, and they did something that's never been done before. Really, a large scale international virtual trade show. Um, there's been lots of experiments, but nothing that's ever been done like that before. Rochelle, who runs our expo, Rochelle Richardson, was talking about the fact that now everybody is an expert in the room, because we know more than anybody else does about doing it because nobody else has done it. We certainly aren't experts, though, as far as knowing everything we need to know. My hope for this show was that we would be able to provide a platform for the exhibitors that depend upon InfoComm for the marketplace it creates, and that we would be able to hold the spot in everybody's mind and calendar for InfoComm, and that we would break even, because obviously we're in an environment where we couldn't be in a situation where we're just throwing money at problems. None of us can be doing that anymore, right? um, we exceeded on we succeeded on all of those, exceeded, actually, I think, on all of those. um, Most importantly, if you remember, I just said hold a place in people's mind and calendar for InfoComm. What I took out of this experience, what I experienced yesterday evening during the happy hour and throughout Twitter, um, wasn't actually about the mind and calendar of InfoComm. It was about the heart of our association, and I saw that for 3 days, and um, yeah, I just am overwhelmed, actually, by that, and by the strength of our community, and I am filled with hope.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would take a slight issue with you because just like people do with me, you are the head of that organization and the head of that team. So their success reflects from you. So you also had a hand in that. So, Mike, I want to bring you on this, and there's a reason I enjoy having Mike and Dave on together. It's one of the fringe benefits of being me and being at the head of this organization. I get to pick who I talk to. These two guys are off of the camera, off the mic, are some of the seriously together. They are an absolute blast. And together professionally, they are a team to be reckoned with. Integrated Systems Europe, the biggest trade show in the world for AV. VIXA owns half of it. These two guys, along with Tabitha O'Connor from CEDIA, um, last time we were all physically together was at the ISE, right? Mike, you guys put a release out this morning talking about you're already at 55,000 square meters for 2021. You're already up above. You've got 9 dedicated areas, including content creation, which I think is fantastic. Marry that with digital signage and digital out of home. You've got 14 conferences going on that week. This is all as we all move to Barcelona.
Yep.
Obviously, none of us knew at the end of the middle of February what was going to happen, what was going to transpire. You've watched this, right? You've watched your cohorts on the Avixa side. What did you take away from this week? And you guys are already gearing up and making plans for Barcelona, which is in February. What did you take away from this week that you guys are already able to be putting into place?
I mean, the first thing I can say is hats off to the InfoComm team. Rochelle and the team have done a great job, and everybody else in the rest of the organization, with the education, the keynotes. Dave, I saw yours. Everything was just in such a short space. To put something like this together, I think is phenomenal. I say, well done, really. And I count myself as being very, very lucky that team have been the guinea pigs. They're the ones who have done the pioneering and are making it easier for me, because I would just take the best parts of that and use it. It's a great experience to let someone else go first, and especially when it's in your own organization and those people are willing to actually share those experiences and help you to be better. One thing that's always happened between ISE and InfoComm, InfoComm was always our big brother. So we learned always a lot and we copied things. And then we started to innovate. And then InfoComm started to copy us and make it better. And then we copy what they did and make it better. So we have this evolution of ideas happening on a 6-monthly basis that just helps us both just to deliver the best trade shows in the world for our business. So, what we're taking away are a lot of ideas. We've seen some of the things that we said, wow, we definitely have to do that. Somewhere we say, okay, we need to understand a little bit more what the intentions were and what the results have been. We haven't been on the inside of looking at everything. We've logged in as attendees to experience it, to actually say, okay, we need to understand the attendee point of view to say they're getting value out of this. So, what we've taken away is that this can be done. And I think 20,000 registrations, I think, is an absolute phenomenal figure. If they'd gone away with half of that, I said they did well. But 20,000 is just absolutely unbelievable. So really well done on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things is you mentioned, getting the feedback from folks. They were able to show you, the good parts, but also the scars that they've gotten over the last 2 months, and some of the drawbacks. I'm going to I'll start with you on this, Mike, but also with you, Dave. These 2 shows are not the only ones that either of you do, right? Both of you produce other shows throughout the world. We're talking with the folks at InfoComm India right now. They're planning for the end of November. Mike, there are different reports here in the States. The Wall Street Journal has been reporting that there are 2 pharmaceutical companies that are getting ready to start trials of a vaccine 1st of July. The UK reported the other day there is a steroid that they've been using to treat people who already contracted COVID-19. You look at reports like that, and you look at the other association shows that both you and Dave are a part of it and responsible for. Are you looking at this, and are you optimistic towards the end of the year and into the next year? CES, the CTA has already said CES is happening regardless, come hell or high water. That's going to happen in Vegas in January. So we do all that, and all of us are planning for various things happening in the fall. When you look at that, is that positive to you, or is it still some sort of reservation?
Yeah, that's absolutely positive. And you should actually follow the news that UFI, the Union de Foire Internationals, this is the worldwide organization for trade show organizers. There's another associated organization in the US called CISO, Society of Independent Show Organizers. And we all, this is a very close network. And I can say in some ways I was fortunate to be sitting with these people just before ISE. And it's nice to actually, in some ways, when you end up in a crisis like this, to be together with people of the same ilk and say, hey, I'm not alone. So what actually happens is when we're all going out and saying, we're going to be doing shows, we give confidence not only to each other, but to business. Trade shows are so important to the economy, every economy. And they drive a lot of business for small and large companies everywhere. And this is a very, very strong message going out to actually getting the economy back up and running and creating a different norm, as Dave would say. And it's, we need it. We need it. It was getting on a plane this week and going to another event was quite, it was strange, putting on lace-up shoes for the first time in months. And but actually going somewhere and meeting people I was meeting a lot of the European heads of companies like Panasonic and Samsung, etc. there, and everybody is just dying to have face-to-face events. So every bit of news that goes out, that any event which is actually happening is a big boost and a major vote of confidence about getting the economy back up and running. You saw the release from Barcelona. They will start their events in September. Munich, all over Germany, they've given a commitment to start trade shows back up and running in September. And these are things that I'm saying, if we can actually deliver good shows between now and ISE, we are so confident that we will have a good show. I'm glad to see the messages coming from CES. You'll see messages coming from us as well, because we're all very keen. It's not just, yes, we have a business to run and we want our business to be successful, but we also look at our industry and realize that we are a core part to it. And it's not just us, it's a whole whole world of this around of what's going on, and we all rely on each other. And these are good messages.
Well, and you guys in your release talk about partnering with the local hospital and local medical staff as well, making sure that you've done everything you can. Dave, similar question. Do you look at these reports and go, yes, absolutely, this is absolutely positive, with the exception of a possible second wave, and we can talk about that as the year goes on. But we are sitting here in the middle of June. Incredible leaps have been made in the last 3 months since the last time we all got together. That has to be a positive. And as you talked with other business leaders, Sean Wargo this week talked about the forecast. The information you guys are getting back from your dealers and your members. Is this a positive as we're heading into the second half of the year?
Yeah, of course. I think at the forefront of all of the decisions, and this is another one of those cliches that you have to make sure you're not saying as a cliche, is the health and safety of the exhibitors, the attendees. Not only are we making progress on how to treat and or potentially develop a vaccine for this disease, but we're also learning more and more about how to reduce transmission, how to have gatherings that are safe. Mike alluded to the Oktoberfest, and a trade show is a controlled environment, right? You can control who's there, when they're there, what direction they're heading in. All of that will contribute to an environment of safety. People are going to go through a progression of being allowed to go out, being willing to go out, and wanting to go out, right? And they're all going to go through that progression at different paces. People in my family are going through that in different paces. I would jumped on that plane with Mike yesterday without a second of hesitation, but there are people that are very close to me that wouldn't even dream of doing that. And that's okay. And I think as we look forward with these trade shows, I mean, this is a huge industry, the exhibition industry. I think hundreds of billions, if not $1 trillion of revenue and economic impact from this industry. We're gonna figure it out, but we're gonna need to make sure that we are letting all the people feel safe, right?
Yeah.
And I think some of that's going to involve giving them an ability to curate their experience, right? Some people will be happy to be in the crowd. Other people maybe are going to want to come in and see the products and meet with people at 7 o'clock in the morning during restricted time or later in the evening. Some people will make a decision to go to a social event. Other people will make a decision to minimize their socialization. I think as with all challenges, it's going to give us opportunities to innovate, but every positive piece of news about COVID is exciting for me, for any of us that are in this industry. I mean, let's look at the reality. The vast majority of AVIXA's revenue is through trade shows, which is gathering 50 to 100,000 people together in a building. And so would I love it if this disease went away tomorrow? Absolutely. Is it going to? No. But that's what smart people do then, is start to figure out how do you deliver what is economically irreplaceable and incredibly important, while most importantly ensuring that you're delivering it in a safe environment. And we're going to, as Mike said, I mean, in fact, I just was talking to somebody earlier today that, you know, I'm glad I've got ISE before I've got InfoComm. And we have, you know, we have Beijing before we have Mumbai, and we have Mumbai before we have ISE. And each of those, yes, are in different environments, different situations, different progression, but each of them will teach us. And then there will be hundreds of events that we aren't associated with that will take place between now and then.
I mean, just to echo on that, what Dave says, Tim, is that the nice thing about this industry, firstly, we're in a really good environment with the group of InfoComm shows, that we share information and we're sharing the best experiences of every single show to make sure the next one is even better. And that's even before COVID, we've been doing this. We sit together and do this. You know, Dave sits there and he's in that meeting as well. And he says he treats us like, you know, siblings, you know, because we're all having our little arguments. And but you know, he controls it and makes sure, you know, our dad there takes care of us and runs the meeting. But more so, this whole industry, the AV industry, but also the trade show industry, is sharing information, because we're all very keen. It's actually really fantastic to see that everyone is sharing information and not trying to actually keep it for themselves, because they realize the culmination of improvements is just going to be better for everyone long term. We've put some new things out there. What we're working with FERA. You mentioned about the risk management study they did with Aon and the University Clinic of Barcelona. And just first to look and see what are the risks, and then based on that, how can they mitigate these? And they've shared this information. They've worked with others to actually see which are the best practices. And everybody, it's just going across Europe. So, you know, no one's actually saying, okay, that's mine, I'm keeping it, I'm not going to share it, so I have an advantage. Everyone's sharing it, and it's good. So yes, I am very confident that we will have a show in February. There will be an ISE. As Dave mentioned, there will be people who have concerns and may want to come at different times. And what we're learning and looking at is saying, how do we satisfy them? How do we make them feel comfortable and keep the business going, and give them and our exhibitors the experiences they require and the contact to customers that they need.
Thanks so much for watching this first segment of AV Week. To see the rest of the episode for free, click on the link below or go by the website, avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv.